communication is the key to everything. Being honest will always have the better outcome in the end.
You're not leading authentically from your own truth. How can you then show up to do your job? If we aren't all working from that heart-centered space, we won't work effectively as a team. We are all designed to do our specific things in the most beautiful way. We all have gifts. And if we cannot authentically express that, or if we're not in an environment that we can express that, then we won't be able to shine our light in the way that we need to.
If you make that person feel like they are just as important as the CEO, then they're going to stay. You're not going to have to do that rehiring process because you're going to have less turnover, more loyalty to people enjoying themselves, having a good time, showing up to work and being able to communicate authentically with everyone around them, increase that connection, increase that collaboration, and watch the magic happen.
Before my very eyes, I just witnessed a bunch of adults in their inner child, in their creative play. They were moving around. It was really magical. Everyone was laughing. A 40-year-old woman came up to me as if she was like a 7-year-old at that point. And she was saying, I need to go and tell this transformer and all these other trees and fairies and butterflies, we all just need to be a tree and stand still. Because basically we were trying to overcome this transformer in an enchanted forest. There was a roar. Everyone was like, yay, we did it. That was true collaboration in true form, in childlike play. We are conditioned to believe that we must drive, push, and we must force. And yes, you will get outcomes by doing that, but they won't necessarily be aligned. Hey, beautiful soul. Yes, you. You are beautiful, whether you identify as female, male, trans, alien, fairy, witch, daughter, son, mum, dad, sister, brother, grandpa, grandma. You are beautiful, and don't you ever forget to be you to the full. Thank you so much for stopping by and clicking on this episode. It has called you for a reason, and that is because it matches your frequency and your vibration, and there is a message in it for you. Before every episode, I sit in meditation and ask for those who are meant to benefit from my conversations and messages be guided to it. So there is a reason why you clicked on this episode. If you resonate with this episode, please help my algorithm and subscribe, like, and comment below, and even better, share this episode with another being. Now, when we share our information, it helps to bring consciousness to as many beings as possible. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for spending your time here and working on yourself to find out who you are so that you can share and shine your light for others. Now, let's dive into this week's episode. Hey, it's Melissa, and welcome back to the Purpose Search podcast, where I discuss all things science, spirituality, and purpose. If you're new here today, thank you so much for clicking on this episode. I hold conversations with people who have life-changing stories, who are incredibly knowledgeable in their field, and they are aligned with their purpose, which I hope will spark something inside of you to listen to the call of your heart and your intuition. Today's guest is Milly Papworth. Milly is a musical theatre performer, but she's also a typical manifesting generator in human design, and she's also my operations and engagement manager at InnerVox. She helps to create safe, supportive spaces that allow people to experience deep personal transformation through our workshops. With over 10 years of experience as an international performer, teacher, and facilitator, she combines operational expertise with a passion for communication, human connection, and helping others step into their fullest potential. Welcome, Milly. Thank you so much for joining us today in the Purpose Search. So nice to have you here. And I'm so excited to dive into our conversation today, where we're going to talk about communication, confidence, and collaboration. But first, every episode, I start with a short breath exercise to drop us into the body and get us present with the conversation. So as we're coming onto screen and listening through our ears, please not do this if you are driving, but I do invite you to close your eyes if you feel safe to do so. But you can also take a soft gaze in front of you if that feels more comfortable. So we're going to take in some light from whatever source you want it to be, whether it's the light from the sun, whether it's a piercing, bright, golden, angelic light. We need to imagine that's coming down into your body and cleansing through the line through your body from the top of the crown all the way through the body down to the root and through the legs down into the earth. And we're going to breathe in that lightness and we're going to breathe out darkness. Now, as we do this, we're going to take the breath really low into our body. So just taking a breath now and just noticing where that breath is sitting. Is that high in your chest? Is it in your shoulders? Is it in your back? I want you to imagine that we're taking it lower now. Take the breath lower into the body, into the sacral, into the root, at the sit bones of your body. And breathe out. Now I want you to take the intention of breathing out darkness as you are breathing. So take a deep breath in, breathing that light. And we're going to breathe out darkness. Breathing in light and breathing out darkness. Good. Now we are going to breathe out longer than our inhale. So we're going to inhale for 4, breathing in for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're going to breathe out for 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2 more times, breathing in. 1, 2, 3, 4. And breathing out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Good. Now on our last one, we're going to breathe in love. And we're going to breathe out fear. Here we go, breathing in that love and light. And breathing out that fear and that darkness. Letting it all go. Let the earth take it and transmute it back into love, and breathing in. And breathing out. Good. And when you're ready, take your attention to your fingers and your toes and come back to screen.
Thank you for that.
You're so welcome. Now, Milly, I start my podcast with the question, because I've introduced you. I don't want to know what you do. I want to know what lights you up and sparks joy in you.
Well, I would say many things actually spark joy in me. At the moment, my biggest joys, I would say, are from the sunshine that we are receiving. And reading specifically in the sun is just an amazing feeling. Also just surrounding myself with beautiful friends and family, and being able to sit outside or, make a plan without having to think, oh gosh, is it going to rain? So I'm making the most of this sunny spell that we're having.
I love that. Sunshine is very interesting because we are getting so much sun now, and it's just so beautiful to be outside in the sun and out in nature. And it's interesting because we pulled an oracle today, and it was to get grounded. And I feel like this is something that will resonate with a lot of people here. If we're, feeling like we are getting a little bit stressed, or we are under a lot of stress from life, work, friendships, family, whatever it is, we pulled this today, and it says get grounded. And I think getting out into the sun, getting into nature, and connecting with nature is something that will really allow you to come back to your energy, body, and yourself. So love that. I love that for you. Now, I always ask my guests, what's your star sign and what's your profile in human design? Now, if you're not familiar with human design, it is a modality that gives us your incarnation cross and your design of why you were brought here to the earth. It's based on principles like the Kabbalah, the Tree of Life, I Ching, and the chakra system. And quantum physics. So I would love to find out what yours is, and tell the listeners, because I already know this, but they don't. So what is it?
So my human design is a manifesting generator, which I only learned recently, thanks to Melissa, of course, probably in the last year or the last 6 months. And it did definitely explain the way that I have been behaving for my entire life. I'm kind of that friend that, you never know what she's up to, because I have honestly could in a week have at least 7 different jobs that I'm doing. In my life, my mum and I once worked out, so I'm nearly 28, and we worked out that I've had like over 50 streams of income in whatever ways, which is obviously
Wow.
quite a turnaround for a less than 30-year-old. And I do feel fueled by that. If I have nothing to do in a day, then I almost need to make myself a list of things that I need to do, because I need to feel like I've got projects going on. So even if I had a day off, I would think, oh, maybe I'll, sort out all my wardrobe, or maybe I'll paint the shed, or maybe I'll do some gardening, or whatever it might be. And I like to have multiple projects going on, and I do actually pride myself on being successful with those. And actually, I think that's related to my, is that related to my
Your incarnation
left
cross?
angle?
Yes.
Yeah,
So
my
your
incarnation
incarnation
cross.
cross is the left angle cross of cycles, which is actually meaning that you are here to experience the natural ebbs, flows, and transformations of life. You begin, transform, and complete
Mhm.
one life cycle and naturally start the next. And for those that are interested in the human design, you have 4 gates, which are your sun signs and your earth signs for your personality and your subconscious. And you have gates 53 and 54, which is also in my life's incarnation cross. And that is the pressure
Mhm.
to begin new experiences and ambition to succeed. And then you have gates 42
Okay.
and 32, which are within the chart, they actually complete each other and make a full channel for you. And that is the 42 and 32 is the energy to commit, grow through a cycle, and know when it is time to wrap up. And I can hand on heart say that Milly is very good at this, and wraps things up really quickly and easily. And she is just, yeah, you're beautiful at doing this, and it's because you're designed to do that. And it's
Yeah.
so beautiful as well, because you have the completing channel for mine. And I would say that we work really well as a team, where I would start something and you would help finish it, and it's beautifully like
Mhm.
manifested in our relationship and in our working relationship as well. So it's,
Yeah.
yeah, I love your incarnation cross. It's so fun. I love looking at everyone's purposes and why they're here, and yeah, it just gives me so much joy. But your astrological signs, can you tell us about those?
Yes. So my sun sign is Cancer, which is the same as Melissa. We're only
Yeah.
5 days apart. And then my rising is also Cancer, so I've just like doubled up. And then my moon is in Pisces, so
Yes.
it's water signs everywhere.
I love this.
So
I
yeah,
love
very.
this
But it's
combination.
funny because I wouldn't say that anyone would think that I'm a particularly emotional person. Like, if something goes wrong, my automatic reaction is definitely not cry. It's like, okay, what can we do to solve this problem? Um, but I do feel things. I just don't necessarily. I'm not the typical Cancer in that I'm always crying all the time.
Mm. But I wouldn't say that
But I
Cancer's
think
always
it's more
crying all
of
the time.
no, but I don't know. Some people think that.
I think a lot of people might think
It's
that.
like
No,
feeling your emotions very
yeah.
deeply.
No, but you feel your emotions and you go through them.
I feel them, yeah, and I let them be there. And then, but when I was younger, I used to feel a lot more turbulent in general. And I think definitely over the last couple of years, pretty much since I left the cruise ship, and I've like done a lot of work on myself, and I feel a lot more regulated and able to like use those feelings rather than be completely consumed by them and be unable to do anything for the rest of the day because I watched a sad video on Instagram or something, you know?
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about that.
It's
Like,
like I
tell us
could.
about that healing journey of you, if you want to share a little bit about how you got through understanding your emotions and how that can then lead to more confidence?
I don't know if there was a specific time. Like, you know, there wasn't one moment where I was like, oh, this is what it is. But basically, there's the idea that when a thought comes into your brain, let's say you thought to yourself, oh, I look ugly in this outfit or something like that. That's your immediate thing, is when you see yourself in this outfit, you think, I look ugly. Obviously, you can't overnight fix that by just saying, oh, actually, I've decided that I look really good in that outfit. That's not how your brain works. But if gradually you say, actually, like, I look fine, this is good, I'm good. And then eventually, if you start thinking that every time, that's just an example, or like, I am unable to do this task, or I'm not good enough at doing my job, whatever it is. If you just think, actually, you know what? I'm here. This is okay. I'm good. You don't have to think suddenly go from, I can't use this spreadsheet to like, oh my God, I'm the best person there's ever been at using Excel. But if you just say, no, do you know what? There's things that I do know and things that I can learn, and that's good. And that's enough. And if you start thinking like that, and you really make yourself think like that for a few weeks or a few months, however long it takes you, then eventually you realize that you just see everything a lot more neutrally and a lot more positively. And I just realized basically life is better if you're just a bit more positive about everything.
100%. Yeah, I really resonate
And
with
it's
that as
easy to
well.
sit in that negativity. I do think it's very, especially if you're in an environment, for example, living on a cruise ship, just as a random example, it is very easy to get into the like, oh, why did they make us do this? And why can't we do this? And she did this and he did that. And it's very easy to sit in that negative space. But then you realize, actually, yeah, the first time that you say, oh, do you know what? If we can't use the theatre in the time we want it, that's all right. We'll just have to use it another time. And if you just keep repeating this like neutrality, I think that's the key really, is just being more neutral. Then eventually you just realize, oh, actually, nothing is that big of a problem. And then when there is a big problem, we've got space to deal with it because we haven't wasted all of our shits to give, for want of a better word.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can we say that?
Yeah, why not? I'm gonna say that I learnt about the subtle art of not giving a fuck. That's the book that I read, and that was one of the
exactly. Well, yeah.
That book was one of the books where I went, how many he basically said in the book, how many fucks do we have to give? And what is the definition of giving a fuck to you? And what do you want that to look like for you? And so when you can reframe it to, is this helping me or is this hindering me? Then that's when you can then reframe your brain to be like, okay, this is the place I want to go. I want to talk about how it became a thing for you to be such a good communicator. Where did you learn this? Do you feel like it came innately? Do you feel like you had a specific experience or experiences in your life that have enabled you to communicate in certain ways? Or have you had any experiences with people that you learnt from?
I think part of it does feel innate. Like I don't remember sort of being a child and feeling unable to communicate. I think I was always pretty confident with communication. But I would say in the last few years, I've become more aware of the importance of communication. And some of those things that I'd been doing naturally, I'm now doing consciously. I'm from a big family, so I'm the oldest of 4 children. So there's 6 people living in a house, so that obviously requires some decent communication. And also, as being the oldest, I think you're naturally, even in childhood, you sort of learn how to be a manager, because if there's ever any situation, you've got 3 people looking at you like, well, you're the oldest, so what are you going to do about this? And that's not to say that my siblings are incapable in any way, but that's just the natural dynamic, is that you are the leader of this group that you've just been put in since you were born. But I also ended up in management positions at quite a young age. I was 20 when I got a job on Brittany Ferries as an entertainment manager. And that was basically because someone, a lovely lady called Gemma, actually, basically just took a chance on me and was like, yeah, she can be a manager. And I think on paper, I'd only done 2 performing contracts. There was nothing written down that would make me a manager, but she trusted me with that position, and could probably see that I was confident enough and could learn how to be kind of responsible and how to do the rotas and make these kind of decisions. I'd also worked with a friend called James, who is 15 years older than me. So at the time I would have been 20 and he was 35, and he'd worked in a lot of management roles, and we did a contract where it was just the 2 of us working in Lapland. So I learned a lot from him, just commenting on how things were being run on this contract and how he would do it, and me agreeing with him and thinking, oh, actually, yeah, that is true. And so I do think that having that influence at that age, and then being put straight, so the next contract that I did, I was a manager. And then obviously once you've got one manager on your CV, you tend to be then given management roles. So I learned a lot about communication from being a manager, and from having some managers that could not communicate. I learned how not to be a manager.
So give us example then, like when you were in those situations where it was frustrating, and you're speaking to somebody who's just not communicating in an authentic way. How would you then? What would you do in that situation?
So if I ever had a manager that I felt was not communicating with me properly, or with the rest of the team, and actually the rest of the team is sort of the key factor here, because that's when that older sister defensive protection thing comes in. And I always felt a lot more able to call out bad communication or bad management if there were other people in the team being affected by it. Whereas now I've learned that, I'm also worthy of me calling out for myself. But how I learned to do it was by doing it for other people, and saying, this is not an acceptable way to treat these people. And actually either standing up to someone in a group situation, which is always a bit easier than if it's just you on your own, and saying, actually, no, can you tell us what this thing is that everyone wants an answer to that you won't give us? And having the backing of people witnessing the conversation. But even if you have to have a one-on-one conversation where you feel like you're not being communicated with properly, I would have asked before, well, then can I record this conversation, or can there be someone else present here? Because if you feel that someone is maybe a bit of a manipulative manager or isn't communicating properly with you, then you deserve to not be gaslit at all. You don't want to have a meeting with them and then them say, well, I told you this yesterday. So I think having a witness, or having asking to just record the meeting is a good step. And it also shows them that you are not here to be walked over. And I think in any industry and any job, communication is really, in my opinion, just the key to everything.
Yeah.
Because if there's a small problem, if two people aren't getting on, if they don't communicate that to each other, and let's say you're let's put it into a rehearsal room situation. Let's say I was company manager of a group of people, two of the singers don't like each other, so they're not talking to each other. That's then going to become uncomfortable for everyone in the room. Those two people then, whatever they do, if this person breathes wrong, if this person sings the wrong line, they're just going to keep getting more and more annoyed with each other because they haven't solved whatever the root cause of the problem is. So as a manager, I would always take those two people and basically say, let's talk it out. Let's literally sit here until we feel that we can move through this rehearsal period or this contract. Or if you're going on tour and you've got to spend a year on a bus next to this person, it's not going to be any good if you're going to get annoyed every time they open their mouth. But that can be applied to any relationship, any friendship, any workplace. You know, if someone always leaves their mug dirty in the sink and you start your day like, oh, brilliant, he's left his dirty mug in the sink again, then how are you going to possibly take that person seriously in a team meeting when you're already annoyed because they've left their mug in the sink? Now, that might not bother them. They might leave their mug in the sink at home, and that is absolutely fine with them. So if you just say, actually, do you know what? It really upsets me when I see your dirty mug in the sink. That's a small thing that they can do, and then both of you are going to be happy.
And we're finding this as well in a lot of companies that we talk to, because we hold these workshops for a lot of companies, and in the communication workshops, we often talk about authentic conversations.
Yeah.
And so what you were saying about communication being the key to everything, I really resonate with, because a lot of times when we would hold our workshops and we speak to companies who are telling us about their pain points, one of the biggest things is not being able to have authentic conversations and communicating, because people are effectively scared. And there is fear behind that, whether that's fear of what the other person might say, fear of losing your job, fear of speaking your truth, fear of upsetting that person, especially if within, say, for example, you are within a company that are really, really friendly and you have this family dynamic in your company. It can be difficult to have those conversations about business, because you don't want to maybe hurt that person, or you don't want to create tension because they're looking after your child tomorrow. So that there's these stories that we tell ourselves, but actually if we can have that authentic conversation and get down to the root of the problem by just being truthful and honest, there can be so much more connection through that, and then you can find the answers to your problems. I'll give an example of us. When so Milly and I work very, very closely with each other. Milly helps with the running of the business and organizing, and we often have conversations which are quite uncomfortable, actually. And well, I don't know about for you, but for me, so I sometimes
I'm all right.
No, but we do have, uncomfortable conversations because of, like, an example. The other day, for example, we had a meeting, and I felt that I wanted to make sure that you were feeling that you were still feeling supported and still, on purpose with the future of this business. And so I just brought it up in a very quick, fleeting way, but it by doing that, it did create such a beautiful moment where we were able to like really connect back with the heart and the soul of why we're doing this. And it just was a way of letting that all go. Also because I was able to like vulnerably say that and not hold that in within my body. I was able to then let that off my chest, which then meant that I wasn't carrying that anymore. But also from your point of view, from my point of view about what you said, so you said, absolutely, I was just feeling really tired today. Was it because of yesterday? And I said, well, no, not really. This is something I've been feeling just in general. And you said, oh no, I really am. And I really do feel this way. And if I didn't, I would tell you. And just by saying those words, that's all I needed to hear, because that's who I am. Those are my values, and we have the same values. And that's then meant that we can have better, authentic conversations and connection. And then we connect deeper as a friendship, as a partnership, and in a business sense as well, in a business relationship. So that was my experience of it. I don't know how you would describe it from your point of view.
What if your team's biggest breakthrough came from within? At InnerVox, we create tailored workshops for corporate companies that unlock confidence, communication, and collaboration. We're not your typical training. Our workshops are dynamic, experiential, laughter-filled, and designed to create lasting transformation. We use creative techniques, performance psychology, and real human connection. We help your people build trust and express themselves and perform at their absolute best by listening to their intuition and their inner voice. Because when your people grow, your business also grows. Visit innervox.co.uk/corporate today and click the link in the description below.
Yeah, again, I completely agree. That's how it was for me as well, pretty much. I know that I can be a bit avoidant in general. Like if I'm tired, or if I'm feel a bit, I don't know, just tired really, or like if I feel a bit under the weather or something, I don't want to say that, which is really funny because I'm good at communicating. But if it's about me feeling vulnerable, I guess, then I'm not as keen to do it. So I just kind of avoid the conversation. So for me, it's so much better if you're like, can I just check, is everything okay? And then I can honestly say, do you know what? I'm actually really tired. So it's like I need like a little invitation to be vulnerable. And I don't know whether that comes from being the oldest, because you're like the one who needs to be on it all the time, and from a lot of management positions. So that's something that I need to be aware of, and I have got better at in my life. Like on the ship, I would just shut my cabin door. That's the end of that. No one knows what's going on, which is just not a good way to communicate. Whereas if I said to my team, like, oh guys, listen, I just feel awful, I've got really bad period pains, or someone's just made a nasty comment and I'm really upset about it, please can you just give me some extra time to put out the rota or whatever it is. And then sure enough, it's like, of course, yeah, are you okay? That's fine. And that's all it takes. And that's why, sometimes communication, well, all the time, communication is the key to everything. And actually, I think the key point that I find about communication is that being honest will always have the better outcome in the end. Yes, in the first 5 minutes after you've said something honestly to someone, they might be annoyed, or they might have to go away and think about what you've said. But it's always better than carrying forward dishonesty or an uncomfortable feeling. It's always better to just get it out in the open before it evolves into something much bigger.
100%. And what's coming up for me is, if you're not leading authentically from your own truth, how can you then show up to do your job in the way that what your job description is meant for, there for you to do? And we often say this in collaboration workshops, where if we are not authentically doing what we are there and we're designed to, and what is best for us and what sparks joy in us, and if we aren't all working from that place, that heart-centered space, we won't work effectively as a team.
No.
We are all designed to do our specific things in the most beautiful way. We all have gifts that we've been given to us in this earth, in this lifetime. And if we cannot authentically express that, or if we're not in an environment that we can express that, then we won't be able to shine our light in the way that we need to.
And in big companies, for example, I think one thing that is really important is making sure that everyone in that company, so if it goes CEO and then you've got your leadership team and your managers, and then you've got your people on the floor, you have to listen to those people on the floor, because if they're happy and they feel heard and seen, then they're going to come in and see, oh, we've moved this display because I thought it would look better over there. And it could be something as simple as that if someone at the top listens to someone at the bottom, the whole company is far more efficient because people feel valued at work.
And I think what you're touching on there is just being seen and being heard.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And when we are seen and when we're heard in a way that is a positive way, the company will flourish in such a beautiful way, and better outcomes and success will happen.
And you can save so much money by not having as much turnover. Because if those people at the bottom, let's say, are then only staying for 6 months because no one listened to them and they just sort of came in, they did their job, they went home. Even if they liked everyone in the office, it's not that feeling of being part of something bigger.
Yes.
Whereas if you make that person feel like they are just as important as the CEO, then they're going to stay. And then you're not going to have to do that rehiring process.
Yeah.
Because you're going to have this less turnover and more loyalty and people enjoying themselves and having a good time and showing up to work and being able to communicate authentically with everyone around them, increase that connection, increase that collaboration, and watch the magic happen, really.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, I've also worked in many, many organizations where the turnover is just relentless and it's unnecessary. It's so unnecessary because the people actually really enjoy that job. But when you don't feel supported, and this is why we have this working relationship now with you and and I'm really, really passionate about that, is like having that dynamic where we can talk about anything and you can come to me and say, I'm feeling this, or this is what I want to do with this, or this is how I want to lead with that. And that's the beauty of an authentic connection and conversation. And then that leads to more, as you said, a bigger purpose as to why we're doing this, and the bigger vision, which is essentially why we're here. So why are we here then? What are we here for? To just be. We can't. Yeah, I mean, I say this all the time. We are just here to be. But if you don't know what you're here for, if you don't know why you're here, there's no drive inside of you for even to get out of bed in the morning.
Yeah, exactly.
You're just gonna be lost. And I know this because I've been in that situation. I've been in the position of not knowing who I am, not knowing what I want. But by listening to my heart, listening to my intuition has led me to where I am now. And has led me to a bigger purpose and a bigger drive that's outside of me. And now I'm excited to wake up in the morning and go, I've got this today, or I'm going to do this today, and I get to do that today. Not I've got to do this, I get to do this.
Speaking of what you get to do, Melissa, why don't you tell us a little bit more about how your intuition led you to exactly where you are and what you're doing right now?
Yeah. So I was in a space, in a place in my life where I didn't know what I was doing. I was just being. And I would say if anyone is lost, just be. And you'll find just whatever sparks joy in you, do that and go with that. If that's being out in the sunshine, great, because that might lead you to meet someone who you've never met before. And that's what happened with me, is I went out and I went into these beautiful spaces when I was in Bali, and I met these beautiful people. And it was Christmas, and I spent Christmas in a house with a beautiful villa, looking over the mountains. And there was about 20 of us there, and we had like the most beautiful Christmas. It was one of my best Christmases, where I was just with people who I kind of just met, but there was this definite soul family vibe there, and everyone was bringing something, kind of contributing something to I'd say the event, the situation that we were in, and either like food, or there were some beautiful like oracles there, or there was oils and scents from one of my beautiful friends who'd made that and had started a business with that, and offerings. Lots of people were offering things, and I was thinking, how can I offer something to people? And in that moment, I thought, I'm gonna do some games. I've been teaching children for over like 15 years at this point, and I was like, I've got so many games up my sleeve, and I could just do that, and we could just have a bit of fun and just play. And oh my goodness, one game led into another, into another, into another, and before my very eyes, I just witnessed a bunch of adults in their inner child, in their creative play. They were moving around. It was really magical. The music was like going so beautifully. Everyone was laughing. There was they a 40-year-old woman came up to me as if she was like a 7-year-old at that point, and she was saying, I need to go and tell this transformer and all these other trees and fairies and butterflies, we all just need to be a tree and stand still, because basically we were trying to overcome this transformer, and everyone was in an enchanted forest.
Normal Christmas Day activities.
Yeah. I mean, this was just all co-created between us. The game I played was, let's all tell us about your dream. And
Okay.
it came from one person who said something like, oh, I'm in a forest, and then everyone started to like, I got them all up, and they all became different characters within the forest, and that was them. They co-created this. But then she came up to me and said, I need to get everyone to stand as a tree. And I was like, okay, well, this is your reality, so go and create it. And she went off, and one by one, she whispered to every single person and said, be a tree, be a tree, be a tree. And one by one, I just watched every person become a tree. And I looked and I was like, what have I just done? and then in one swooping motion, they all kind of overcame this transformer, and there was a roar. Everyone was like, yay, we did it. Like, you know, when you're in school and you're like, and
Yeah.
you've like won as a team, and you just like all gone like, yay, we did it. And I was like, wow, that
Yeah.
was true collaboration in true form, in childlike play. And how did I even create that? And it was just beautifully magical, and the way that it happened just unfolded beautifully. And I've seen this happen so many times with children, and I never imagined that this would be possible with adults. And so that's why I started InnerVox and created this this platform and this to help businesses, because I believe that if within the business format, if we can all tap into that inner child and come into that creative play, that's when magic will unfold. That's when you learn, okay, we work like this in this specific moment with no phones, we don't need technology. We can make all of this magic from within us.
Yeah.
All of that wisdom was from within us, and that was co-creating in a way that was just humans and human connection. And that was it in that moment.
Exactly.
And so I brainstormed, sat and for a while and sat on it for a while, but it just, my inner voice and my intuition kept saying, no, keep doing this, keep going.
Yeah.
And then I remember one time speaking with you and it was just like, sparks. And when you have like goosebumps and connection, like, and energetic chills in that moment, I was like, I knew that was my confirmation. I was like, okay, this is something that needs to be done in partnership, because on my own, I can do so much, but with another person who just gets it, the exact same vision and has that drive as well at gate 54 in the human design. That was when I was like, okay, this can be something. And so then now here we are.
Yeah, because with all of our drama and acting and performing training, it's a natural path, I think, for you to become a guide to help other people become more confident and better at that communication, and able to stand on stage and express themselves in something that we've been trained to do our whole lives. But we forget that someone who works in an office has probably never been to a drama class.
Yeah, exactly.
And actually, you're able to bring that to them.
Yes. And it just reminds me as well, like, I was speaking to someone at an event that I went to about it was a podcast event, and she kind of did what I do very, very similarly. And she would often, I think she only did like a few workshops and then stopped, but she said that people just didn't know how to express themselves. And when she would do a drama game and then they would come out of their authentic expression would come out through that drama game, that's when that she was like, wow, people really do not understand, like, because we're not taught this at school. We're not taught how to listen to our emotions or do these things, and that's a separate concept.
That's another whole podcast.
But it's I think this is just so important to when we can come back to that heart space, that's when creativity is.
Because we hear a lot of adults saying like, oh no, I'm not really creative, oh, I don't really have a good imagination.
Absolutely.
But when you were a child, did you sit and read the newspaper?
No.
I don't think so. You're probably in the garden, like mixing up spells or whatever you're doing. That's what I was doing.
100%.
Why do we stop? And I care for my grandparents sometimes, and they're both in their 90s, both have dementia. And you really see the return to being children. And I'll take them for a walk and they're like, oh, look at that nice red door. Or, oh, I might even be like, oh, should we pretend something? And it's literally the same. So where do we stop and then just let it come back? Why don't we just have it the whole time?
100%. And that is
so
exactly why one of the reasons why I started this was because I saw the children in the adults then. And I knew this anyway. I knew that we are all, we all have a child within us. And I'd done a lot of work in therapy and I'd worked on myself as like you had. And I realized that if I didn't sit with my inner child and comfort them the way that I needed to, then I was still reliving and replaying that story in my current reality. But if I could nurture that child in a way that comforted them, then I was able to move in a more authentic way now as to a story that I've told myself. And so when I saw those adults as a child in that moment, it was just it was like a trigger moment for me to be like, of course, everyone is a child in a meat suit.
Absolutely.
We are all here as adults, but we're just children.
And it's only society that puts it on us that we can't behave like children anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, when you see your friends in their childlike state, or any adults, it's a really beautiful thing. And I remember actually when I was on the ship, we were in Hawaii, and we were watching for these turtles that kept popping up, and I was like a kid, and I was like, oh my god, there's one there, guys, look, there's one there. And my friend Matty said to me, can I just say, this is like the most beautiful that I've ever seen you, because you're just like a kid. You're literally running, pointing at the turtles. And I was like, yeah, as we should. Since when do we sit on a beach at sunset in Hawaii and go like, oh, yeah, cool, there's a turtle. Like, life's too short. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh my, I'm just picturing you with a beautiful sunset and the turtles popping up their heads.
Me being like, look.
Oh, but I mean, look how much joy it's bringing us now talking about these turtles. Yeah.
And we should be allowed to be passionate and be childlike. And I actually was thinking a lot about why is being childlike a bad thing? Like, who, that's maybe just not beneficial for society, because we don't want people to be in meeting rooms getting too excited. And I do think it's a bit of a British, we keep our emotions down here kind of thing. Because in friends that I've made from other countries, that's just not anywhere near as much of a thing. So I do wonder whether there's an element of this.
I do think that there's societal conditioning there. There's also, being in your childlike state, being in your creative state is the feminine. And the masculine is the provider, the space holder, the leader. The feminine, also the leader, but in her flow state. I wouldn't say her, but we all have a feminine and a masculine within us, whether we're male or female. But the feminine is the creative. From the womb, we all have that creativity. And when we can tap into that feminine, that creative childlike state, then we are connected to allow us to express and use this body as a way of working with something that's bigger than us, that's running through us as a means of a channel. And I think that, society can be a big part of that. Your upbringing can be a part of that as well. But also our lineage and what we've learned from lineages. And so when we can really come back to the balance, as you said earlier, about like the equanimity and finding that sweet spot in the middle, is a place where we can then use those energies in such a beautiful way to support each other. How can I be creative but support that with the masculine? That's when beauty will unfold.
Rather than just see it as one or the other.
Yes. And I think we are conditioned to believe that we must drive and we must push and we must force. And yes, you will get outcomes by doing that, but they won't necessarily be aligned.
Yeah, and they might not feel authentic, and they might not bring you joy.
Yeah. I have had many, many circumstances where I've done things like that, and not felt this inner fulfillment. And for the first time now, I feel so fulfilled with where I'm going, and listening to my intuition within the business and following that has led me to things that I just cannot even comprehend. Like, for example, I went to Barcelona last week, and I got called there. I had no idea why. And I was out there and I was like needing all this control of, I'm like, why am I here? What's the purpose? I had an experience at the airport where I met these people. I listened to my intuition, went and sang at the airport because there was a piano there. And I sang at the airport, and I realized that I got over my fear of doing something. Even though I've been in the West End, I've been on stages, I've performed for thousands and thousands of people. Getting up and singing in an airport was just really uncomfortable for me. Like,
Yeah, of course.
but why is it, of course? Like, why? It's a story that I'm telling myself from my past, from my
Exactly.
childhood, from lifetimes, who knows? But in that
And from
moment,
society, it's not generally acceptable to stand up and make a big noise. It's like we all need to just be keeping in our lanes and not communicating with anyone else, and, you know, not walking onto the train and going morning, which is a really funny activity to do, by the way. And everyone just looks up like we're allowed to smile at each other, guys.
exactly. And as children, we are told to be quiet. We are told to shh when we're crying. We're not allowed to express our emotions, and so that then dampens and creates that cycle of this thought process of why we shouldn't do something, why we shouldn't make noise. And so you're right, I was there in the airport making some noise and I got over that fear very quickly and I allowed it to go because I've been doing this now for years. I've been working through my fears and all of these stories and shadows that I have within myself, and we all have them. But I got over it very quickly. And then what I realized from that, after doing it one more time and recording it and wanting it as evidence, I then another person came along, and she, in that moment, I could feel her energy. I could feel like she wanted to sing, and I kind of like waved and beckoned for her to come and sing, and she came and she sang, and then there was 3 of us that were singing with harmonies, and it was just
It's
the
so
most magical
nice.
experience. But then it gets better. I got onto the plane. I said to that we connected as well. We also connected on Instagram and all of that. It was beautiful. And then I got onto the plane and I was tired. I was learning about my gene keys. I was like reading. I was getting tired. I was like, right, I just need to sleep. Put my laptop down. Take my glasses off, and these words just kept coming through. And in that moment, I was like, okay, something wants to come through me. So I opened my laptop and I just wrote for an hour. And in under an hour, I wrote my first blog, and it's now on the website. So I got called to Barcelona for many reasons to get over some of my fears and also to write a blog and to talk about it now with you. And I think that there's this divine plan that's all unfolding. And if you do listen to your intuition, you do listen to your heart, it can lead to such beautiful things. Imagine if I didn't go to Barcelona. I would never have met those people. I would never have done that at the airport.
Yeah.
I would never have written about it. It wouldn't be on my website.
Exactly.
But now it could help people who have a fear of doing something that they've never done before. And if you would like to read that, I'll pop that in the link in the description below so you can read that there. Milly, before we wrap up today, thank you so much for all your wisdom that you shared with us. But I want you to link it back to our, we call this podcast The Purpose Search. And I want you to give us one piece of advice that you give to somebody who you feel, if they're lost or they're trying to find their purpose, what would you say to them?
The first thing that you do should be authentic. So for me, I like to just open the window, make my bed before I go on my phone, because anything that is urgent, I promise it can wait 15 minutes. And if you've woken up, you've gone outside, you've had a cup of tea, whatever it is that makes you feel connected to yourself in the morning, you're going to be so much better prepared for whatever emergency it is that's waited 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's my biggest piece of practical advice. And emotionally and spiritually, I think just be authentic with yourself first, and then let that spill out into your communication with everyone else. Because if you, let's say someone asks you to do something and your actual answer should be no, because you're like, I really don't want to do that. It's too early in the morning, or I'm going to have to rush there from here, or it just doesn't feel like the right thing to do. If you then say, yeah, sure, see you there at 3:00, you're going to get there and you're going to already be on the back foot. And it's just, so actually ask yourself, do I want to go there? Do I want to do this? Can I do this with the right energy? Can I bring this person, this job, whatever it is? And if you can't, don't. And you don't have to. We live in a world where we have to explain everything all the time. Like, oh no, sorry, I can't because it's just a bit too. Just say, oh, sorry, no, I'm not available. And just let yourself be at home in your nice tidy bed with your window open.
Mm-hmm.
I think, yeah, if you are authentic with yourself, then you can communicate authentically with other people, and everything always just works out better.
Can you give us your handles, where people can find you to get in contact with you, apart from with InnerVox, which we'll put in the link in the description?
You can email me, milly@innervox.co.uk. Or you can follow me on Instagram, Milly Papworth, on LinkedIn, Milly Papworth. Pretty much anywhere. If you just search Milly Papworth, I'll already be there.
All the platforms. And what's one takeaway that you want the listener to leave with?
Ooh, there's been so many. Just do something today that makes you feel like a kid.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing your voice and your wisdom. I love you so much. It's been such a pleasure talking to you. Oh, that's nice. Is that really soft?
Yeah.
I love it. It's so beautiful. Thank you. It's been so beautiful having you on this episode today. And thank you so much for listening as well. I really hope that this helps you to shine bright. And if you did enjoy this episode, the best way to show your support, because it really does help the channel grow, is to like this video and share it with someone who you feel might need to hear it. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please hit that button and comment below your thoughts on this episode and share your voice. It's free, and I love reading all your comments and replying to them. So I'm sending so much love. Until next time, see you in the next episode.